Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 224 of a year change. Today we're finishing off our week. Probably going to do another week where we aren't really sort of delving into more food things, but I figured I would give you a couple of updates this week. I've started to sort of focus a little bit more, as we all should, really on getting my levels where they need to be. So, happy to say my sugar levels, we'll start with that because that seems to be the worst one. My sugar levels are under what the recommendation is. They aren't under where I want them to be yet, but you're supposed to have between, I think mine says between 72 and 79 grams, or 79 grams per day, and I've had on average 72. So I'm under where I need to be. I still haven't really hit below the 10% that I wanted to when we first started doing all the sugar stuff, but it's better than what it was. As far as where my fat level should be, it's a little bit high. It's around 33%, but I have brought that down as well. I've started to even out the amount of protein and the carbohydrates and everything else. So carbohydrates were a little bit high last time, but I brought those down to where they need to be, so we're good there. My sodium, on the other hand, went through the roof, and I couldn't figure out why, because I've been very careful this week. I've bought chicken and peas and stuff like that. So, and I knew that I had I had bought some, not pita things, but they're poofy pita things. So I looked at those and thought, no, it's not that too many of those things. Couldn't figure out what it was. So I went back into MyFitnessPal, took a look around, and there's a day it just skyrocketed right through everything. So, they're all fairly high, but I went through and I went to try to find it, and I had forgotten that I forgot that I had bought kippers, and I had those one day. And basically what they are, it's a herring, but it's like a smoked, salted, cured fish. And one of those is enough to put you over for the week. So it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I'm still working on that, getting that to where it needs to be. It's much better overall than what it was, not where I need to be for the week. But we've got another week or so for me to really focus in on that and pay more attention to it. So hopefully that will work. But I just sort of wanted to, I keep doing this because I gained last week. I didn't really make any progress. So I took a little bit of a sneak peek to see where I stood this week. And I've made progress this week. I'm back down to roughly where I should be. So that's encouraging. I don't do a sneak peek the same way that I do an official weigh-in. My official weigh-ins are on Sundays, and I do it usually around 9 or 10 in the morning. Weigh myself 3 times, take the highest number, and that's what I go by. It fluctuates all through the week. And if you're taking little sneak peeks like that, you'll see that it does that. After a meal, it spikes up because just the weight of the food itself. So whether it's a pound or 2 pounds of food or whatever you're eating, there's that goes into it. The amount of fluid that you take in. You can drink, 2 big bottles of water. There's no calories in it, but it has weight to it, so that does add to it. Conversely, at the end of the day, when you're done for the day, before you have supper and things like that, you can go, oh, I've lost quite a bit of weight. But there is a danger there that I'm trying to be aware of, that if I look and say, oh, look, I've made progress. Okay, well, then I have a little bit of leeway. Starting to slur my words. I have a little bit of leeway, and I don't really want to do that, because then what happens is that on Sunday when I go to weigh myself, and there's just been no progress. So I've been continuing on with my treadmill as well. I've only been measuring 200 calories for the hour. I'm still doing the full hour. I do want to make that clear, because as I'm sort of logging it, it just looks like, oh no, he's done 200 calories, and then it started at the regular amount, which was generally hovering somewhere between 700 and 800 calories, depending on what I was doing. So each week I've just been dropping it down by 100. So starting tomorrow, I don't do treadmill on the weekends, but starting Monday, I guess I should say, I'm only tracking 100 calories. So I've been steadily going down. So there is a risk with that as well, that, and it's one of those I can do math in my head kind of things, where you look at it and you go, okay, 200 calories, that's good. And then you get to the end of your day, you're like 10 or 20 calories over, and you go, yeah, but technically I still have another 500 because I did my treadmill. I'm trying to get away from that as well, because I have done that a couple of times when you're looking at it going, it's still okay, because I know I only tracked 200, but I actually burned off 7. But I actually don't know how much I've burned off because I've been still doing the same thing, just cutting back on the intervals. It's every 11 minutes now, so starting this week, or next week, tomorrow, it'll be every 10 minutes that I'm actually doing a run. So that'll drop down to basically 5 intervals of jogging and then regular stuff, or 6 intervals, however that works. Anyway, so I'm still doing that, but I don't know really how much I'm losing, or how much I'm burning off, I should say, because I haven't really tracked it that way. I've just been gradually cutting back. So I have next week and then the week after, it will be at 0. I'm just not adding those calories to the day, so that the treadmill is just sort of part of my day, and I include that in the 1,800 calories. And I think part of the reason why I've sort of been going back and forth with progress is because of that quick little, oh no, I did my treadmill. I'm not actually tracking accurately, so I have more in there. The problem with that is that I suspect what I've been doing is that, I can look at it and say, oh, well, I still have, I have 8 calories left for the day. Well, technically I have 580, so, I can probably have this. But then, as you do that, I haven't gotten this bad, so don't worry. You do run the risk of getting to a point where you're going, oh, well, I still have 500 calories left, so I can have a sandwich. And then a couple of hours later, you look at it and you go, yeah, I still have 500 left, though, so I can have some chicken. Well, you're still not cutting off that sandwich from the first time, and then the chicken and everything else. So I am still tracking everything, which has put me over a couple of times. So I need to really stop. And then, once I get that treadmill tracking down to just 0, I'm still going to be doing it every day, but it's not going to be added in there as part of, added calories, so that, and I think it's working because I've really been sort of paying close attention this week and staying below what I need to do and really being sort of nitpicking and tracking everything I need to. Have not finished tracking for today, though. So, but I have started going back to the diet that I was on before, a couple of months ago, where, eating more chicken and lean meat that way, and adding in a lot more fruits and vegetables than I normally would, and just sort of the standard things that I had. I still have half a pack of hot dogs in my fridge. So I'm not going to throw them away, obviously, but I don't want to just keep having hot dogs all the time, because when you buy them, you tend to eat them. Which reminds me, I've had 2 experiences with this. This is something I'm going to talk about later on next week as well. Just when you're talking to someone, we've had some progress. Admittedly, I've hit the 60-pound mark. I had, and then I went back, but I think I may hit it again this week. So we'll say 50. So whatever I'm doing, aside from the past couple of weeks, whatever I've been doing has been working. So when you're having a conversation with someone and you say, oh, didn't have a great week this week, I didn't make any progress, probably because I ended up having hot dogs, they immediately dive into, well, that's not going to help you. You need to, eat this and this and this. I know. That's why I prefaced this by saying I had a bad week, probably because of, and then explained it. So it's weird, because no matter how much you're doing, you're always going to get those people that are going to say, no, you need to do this, 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 and this. We know what we need to do. Anyway, we'll do that later on this week, because it got really annoying. And it's happened twice now as well. So overall, I'm happy with how things have gone this week. It's been an improvement, a great improvement as to how I have been. And then we've got another week to go with that, just sort of focusing in and saying, all right, sugar levels where they need to be, which I changed my cereal, by the way, which we'll talk about in a minute. And getting things down to proper levels so that we can really focus in on that, and there's not any added stuff in there that we need to worry about, just for the time being. So, the sugar, I don't think I've hit that 10% below what our target was originally, because I think with that it was, my target's fairly low anyway, or my levels, I should say, my regular levels of sugar are fairly low. And I've cut back on the amount of sugar that I've been taking in this week as well. There were a few days when I thought, I'm going to have another coffee. And I was like, no, I better not. I'm just going to hold off and forego an extra, probably have cut back 3 or 4 cups of coffee this week. Doesn't sound like a lot, But when you're having 3 and 4 a day, just cutting back 1 a day, that's probably helped quite a bit on the amount of sugar. So the cereal thing. I was going to, because I haven't had any cereal in a while, and I thought I should probably go and buy the stuff that I normally get, but I wanted to start looking at the sugar levels of things. And if that's all I'm focusing on, then that's what I want to sort of base it on. Because overall, it's a very healthy cereal. It's very low calorie. There's lots of fiber in it. There's all sorts of good stuff in it. But I wanted to sort of focus just on the sugar. So when I went to the store and started looking at stuff, even all brand, like it just says 100% all brand, there were 6 ingredients in it, 4 of which were sugar. So it was really weird. It said wheat bran, sugar, something else, salt I think maybe, and then it had 2 types of syrup in it, and then barley malt. So I was looking at that going, how is it all brand has the same amount of sugar as my regular cereal, which I thought was very high in sugar. And then you go and you look at things like, pick any sugary cereal, and there's 18, 19 grams of sugar per bowl. So I'm looking at it going, all right, this has more than twice the amount of sugar that mine had. Not too bad. But in the end, I went with, even as a kid, I always liked it. It's always been my favorite cereal, is just plain old Shreddies. It has, not actually, let me think. 3/4 of a cup of the regular stuff has 8 grams of sugar, but 1 cup of Shreddies has 9, and there's a lot more stuff to it. So I would say they're roughly equal in the amount of sugar that's in there. But there are 4 ingredients in it. It was shredded wheat, I think, sugar, salt, and another thing, which I think was sugar as well. I know that doesn't sound like much, that you can look at it and go, well, there's only 4 ingredients. Yeah, 2 of them are still sugar. But the fact that it's sort of a childhood, yay, these are my favorite cereals sort of things, it just made me feel better. So I'm going to do that. But I'm not putting extra sugar on it or anything. I'm doing what I did before with the Special K stuff. Just putting it and measuring it out, having a regular bowl, throwing in a couple of handfuls of oats, and that's it. And things are good. So I'm going to keep doing that for a while and sort of maintain. But it's working. So focusing in on this, taking a couple of weeks off, and just looking at what we've done so far and tweaking what we need to tweak without adding in new stuff has kind of helped. So I figure another week of that, we should be on track, and then we'll start in with carbs and stuff for protein, or we'll pick one. Probably carbs, I think. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet, but it's probably going to be carbs. Anyway, that's it for this week. There's not much more. I'm trying to think of something else that has happened. Not much. That's it. So, oh no, I know there's something. Once again, I'm going to remember as soon as I'm done this. Salt grinder, that's what I'm thinking of, but I showed you that on Wednesday, and that hasn't changed. I've done 2 turns since Wednesday on my salt grinder, and that is it entirely. And I think I did that either yesterday. No, I did that today. Tried to make homemade guacamole. Yeah, I'd rather just have the avocado. So, just for those of you out there, if you're going to make your own, get a proper recipe and measure things out. Don't just sort of go close enough. Lime juice, there we go. It was just like mushy lime. It's what it came out as. It was horrible. Admittedly, I didn't take my time making it. I just thought, I'm going to see what avocado and lime taste like together. Yeah, I'd rather just have the avocado. So I think I'll do that next time. Anyway, that's all I was trying to remember. See? So I don't need to add anything extra. Very important stuff. Glad I remembered, because you were probably wondering. Probably not. Anyway, so tomorrow we're going to start up a new week. There's not going to be any changes or anything. It's mainly just focusing in again, like we were this week, really paying attention to what we've been doing and tweaking the numbers a little bit, getting our fat levels around the 30% and making sure that we're getting healthier sources of it. Mine isn't perfect yet, but I've got it down to 33, and more importantly, it's because I've increased the protein and dropped down on the carbohydrates, because my carbohydrates they should be around 50%, and they were like 60, 70%. It was not good. So I'm getting all 3 of those nice and even. That's really what I want to go for. The sugar levels aren't great, but again, I mean, all my sources are coming from, well, almost all my sources are coming from fruit, so I'm okay there. The sodium thing is just a matter of paying more attention. So that's one of the things I'm going to focus on this week, because I think my sugar levels are okay. I just need to keep cutting back on the amount of coffee and things like that, or the amount of sugar in the coffee. The sources for that, I'm okay with that. fat and carbohydrates and protein and stuff like that, because I've sort of evened out what I'm doing diet-wise, those are going to regulate themselves as they have been this week. I'm going to keep an eye on them, but just to make sure. But the sodium thing is something that I really need to keep an eye on. I've cut way back on the salt, which is great, but I'm still above where I need to be. So I'm going to start looking at some alternatives for things like low sodium stuff. Because worst case scenario, if it gets to a point where it's unpalatable, then I can start using and do like 1 or 2 turns on my salt shaker and go from there. Because I haven't really run into anything that I'm just like, oh, this is horrible, and yet I'm still eating it because I want low sodium. If it's not palatable, I know I'm not going to eat it again. So, but I don't want to just add salt to it because that sort of defeats the purpose. So it needs to be something that I know that I'll still continue to buy. Never thought I was going to do that with soy milk. Here we go. I haven't bought milk since we did that. I bought another thing of soy milk for my cereal. Because that's really the only thing that I use it for. What else was there? There was something else that I didn't think I was going to like, and I tried. The sweetener? Yeah, that's not going to be a thing. I'm probably just going to try to cut out the sugar altogether, rather than go to sweetener and things like that. So, but yeah, I think I'll try it. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video here, because otherwise I'm just going to keep trying to think of things to remember, and it's not going to work, and then it's going to be useless stuff. But, like that. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video here once again. So, 4th time is a charm. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.